Hi listeners, this is Amy Boudsady and welcome to It's Conversation Time.
As a senior, at that same time, we were competing for a national championship in fall quarter, traveling every other weekend, and I was writing my honors thesis. And I was working. What can I do with this international studies major that I don't know a lot of people that are in an interdisciplinary program? Like a lot of people come into college knowing like I want to be an engineer, I want to be a teacher, I want to be something. I didn't really know what I wanted to do at all. So I was looking for groups or people to kind of help me find a direction. It was challenging, but so worth it.
In this episode, we sit down with Summer Bales, a former student athlete who raises the bar. In this conversation, we explore her experiences in and outside of soccer, her academics, how she volunteered with alternative breaks, and how her internship at the IRC led her to pursue a master's in public policy at the School of Global Policy and Strategy. Summer also provides tips to high school students, undergrads, and later an opinion on post-COVID-19.
Hi, my name is Summer Bales. I recently graduated from UCSD as an international studies and political science major, and I did the international migration studies minor program. I was also on the soccer team for 4 years, was a co-captain my last year, and now I'm continuing and doing my MPP at GPS.
What is it like being a soccer player and also going through UCSD?
It was a unique experience, and I honestly wouldn't have given it up for the world. I wanted to come to UCSD for its international studies program.
What is the International Studies Program? It's an undergraduate program offered at UC San Diego that challenges students to explore the processes and consequences of interactions among institutions and individuals at the international and national level and the global and local levels through an interdisciplinary lens. There are 9 major degree options, a minor, and there's also 3 different joint 5-year BA Master of International Affairs programs.
And also it was one of the only places where I had an opportunity to play soccer. It can be demanding and stressful, but at the same time, you have a team of people that you care about, that you're with all the time, supporting you through a rigorous academic program. So it was challenging, but so worth it.
So how'd you find balance in that, like doing soccer and schoolwork?
Honestly, like in my first 2 years, I didn't really strike a balance. I was looking at my schedule, any blank space, I was filling it up with extracurriculars and what can I do, or what type of organizations can I join? Like, what can I do with this international studies major that I don't know a lot of people that are in an interdisciplinary program? Like a lot of people come into college knowing like I want to be an engineer, I want to be a teacher, I want to be something. I didn't really know what I wanted to do at all. So I was looking for groups or people to kind of help me find a direction. And it probably wasn't until my junior year when I had to stop and kind of reflect, like, why am I doing all of this? Like, what do I, like, what, I don't know, what makes you happy, or where do I feel most present? And so after that kind of self-reflection, I cut down on the activities that I was doing, and I decided to focus on soccer, and it was eventually the IRC where I was gonna devote most of my time and energy to.
Can you tell us what IRC is? Because I think some folks don't know.
The IRC is the International Rescue Committee. It's a humanitarian aid organization and one of the international NGOs, Refugee Resettlement Agency. So they have international offices all over the world where they're working in humanitarian crisis, but their U.S. offices are based on refugee resettlement or immigrant integration, immigration processes, micro enterprise.
Did you know Albert Einstein, theoretical physicist and Nobel laureate, helped inspired the founding of the International Rescue Committee in 1933? Besides his legacy in physics, he was also a refugee and a humanitarian.
The San Diego office, I was in their immigration department, working with naturalization, green card renewals, DACA renewals, things like that.
So you had to understand a lot of the policy that goes behind it, right?
that was the first time that I became interested in policy, because before it seemed kind of this abstract, like why is like transportation policy interesting? Why are all these like very nuanced policies interesting? But working in that office, you see how it impacts people's lives, and it kind of clicked that maybe a master in public policy was the way to go.
The MPP is the Master of Public Policy offered at UC San Diego's Graduate School of Global Policy and Strategy. If you're currently majoring in econ as an undergrad, you're in luck. We have the 5-year joint BA in Economics Public Policy and Master of Public Policy program.
What motivated you to do even more?
I think it's kind of like an identity thing. You know, you're an athlete your entire life. Like for a lot of us, I'd been playing soccer since I was 5 years old. And you're aware that like 4 years seems like a long time, but it's really not. Like, and you're just thinking, what's next? Like, what can I do next? And how am I going to cultivate skills? How am I going to be useful? Like, what skills am I going to have? What career do I want to go into? I didn't want to focus on just purely academics and sports and then wind up after graduation and just not really know what I'm interested in, or not know how I'm going to move forward or what I'm going to do next. And I didn't want to end up doing something that was outside of my academic interests. And so like a good example and like mentor for me is my sister, who was also, she ran cross country. She was a literature major. She did her MFA in poetry and really tried to cultivate skills that would allow her to land up in a job that was related to literature. Like she could have done anything else, but she really focused on ended up being in publishing. So she was like a role model for me to, if you really want to get a job or land a path in something that you're passionate about, that it's possible.
Can you share about your experience with alternative breaks? That one was really cool, how you were able to like include that in part of your undergrad experience.
Yeah. I learned about it through one of my teammates. She was a couple years older than me. She plays for like the women's national team Mexico. Super cool person. Very interested in social justice. She was an engineer, so kind of bringing in like urban studies and international affairs. I learned a lot from her. The organization that we were working with was founded by an alternative breaker from Nicaragua. As an athlete, like I always wanted to study abroad, but you really can't because you're training every quarter. And this was an opportunity to go have like the study abroad experience. And that was kind of my mentality going into it. And then once I got into it, it was the first time I had been a part of a group that weren't athletes and weren't other people that were my age, or it was, and it
uncomfortable because it's like a new set of people.
It was a new set of people. It was so interesting to, I don't know, realize that not everyone solves problems the same way you do. Not everyone approaches issues in the same way, and learning how to team build in a way that I hadn't learned before. And then coming back from that, it wasn't just a one and done type of thing. It was like, how are you going to take these lessons and how are you going to integrate them into your career?
What is your experience like joining the MPP program right after graduating with an International Studies Political Science undergraduate degree?
The MPP, especially, it's never fun to take summer school, but I needed it. It gave me time to really start to understand statistics I'd never taken.
Are you talking about summer prep?
Summer prep, going into the MPP. Like I feel so prepared the way that this program has been set up, starting from reintroducing you to math concepts to start to develop like statistical methods. And now we're getting into regression methods and finally being able to develop those quantitative skills that I was scared of. We're scared of math as a poli-sci major, you know?
Yeah.
I avoided econ classes. I avoided anything that was uncomfortable in undergraduate. But then realizing that if you want to develop those technical skills, like you have to try and be willing to kind of fail and fail and fail again until you get through it. So I think the emphasis on all the quant skills in GPS is so helpful, and the support that we get is incredible.
When you talk about support, are you talking about the faculty support or the student groups?
I think it's a combination of like student groups, like our formal student groups, and then also student study groups, our student affairs, our advisors, our career services are all working together to really make sure that everyone is doing okay academically, feels a sense of community with each other, and are helping each other through it. It's really supportive.
Is this your second year of MPP, or
This is my first year.
your first year? Okay, so your first year. So since it's your first year, what kind of internships are you gonna be looking into?
This is a bit of a concern with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
I've applied to research positions at IRC headquarters,
Awesome.
public policy internships, anything that involves kind of like just any sort of policy analysis, professional writing skills. I want more qualitative research and program design. Any element of that would be awesome.
The question of internship opportunities has been a common concern due to the COVID-19. There are some options in remote internships, but here I share with Summer about remote opportunities by contributing to open source projects.
So open source projects, you can contribute to that, to the broader world. People don't know what it is, but in the tech industry, and it's gradually kind of bleeding into nonprofits and NGOs, because NGOs overseas, they utilize open source projects a lot because it's anyone around the world who have the skills to contribute to an issue that they're trying to solve. You don't have to be an expert at it. It's just like you contribute what you can, whether it's your ability to edit, write policy, whatever you want. Even if you want to tinker with coding, like you could totally do that too, because anyone could learn to code. So do you have any tips for undergrads in general, not specifically international studies, but just like in general, anyone who's in college or considering, or like, you know, in high school and considering degrees?
Or at least for me in high school, I didn't allow myself to really explore my own interests because you're so like bound to the people that you're friends with that maybe you don't want to try something if you're going to be alone, or it's scary to go walk up into a meeting for some group that you don't know anyone, you know. That's uncomfortable. But to kind of just embrace that and show up to things that you might be interested in. You don't have to commit, you know, but just meeting other people outside of your immediate friend group that may not be interested in what you're interested in too. And I feel also for undergrads and high school students more and more, there's so much pressure to know exactly what you want to do. I think giving yourself permission, if you can, to just not think about what you should be doing if you want to get into law school or to med school, or to really reflect and think, what am I actually interested in? And then work from there. That would be it. And not feel so much pressure to have your whole life figured out.
So we're still dealing with COVID-19, and many say that after this, we will be entering a new era or a period of time. Like, in your opinion, what skill do you think is valuable coming out of this experience?
I don't know, the ability for us to sit with ourselves that feels uncomfortable, that we're constantly, I know for me at least, like when you're busy and you have a lot of things to do, you're always thinking, what's next? That while I'm doing something, I'm thinking, how am I going to get to my next, even if it's from minor tasks to big conceptual things, like what am I going to do for my job or my internship, or what am I going to do after that, or how is my career going to build versus like what am I going to do after class or after my assignment, or just not being present, and now you're forced to, which is, it's interesting. And also to kind of, it's forcing you not to be self-centered in a way that we're kind of accustomed to, that it's not about like what you have to do, it's about what's best for like our collective society.
For sure. All right, cool. Thank you again for this interview.
Thank you, and thank you for the sources.
Thank you for listening to It's Conversation Time. My name is Amy Boudsady, and I hope you enjoyed our second episode with Summer Bales, class of 2021 MPP student at the School of Global Policy and Strategy. I hope you'll join us for more conversations. In our next episode, we'll sit down with Ivana Rowe, an International Studies program alumna who pioneered and co-founded the International Studies Student Association and is now on the policy team at Facebook.